This video will walk you through the CES process in clarity.
Step 1 is to switch your agency to coordinated entry. Top right under your name is set to coordinated entry. You may have a drop down here where you can choose it. Step 2 is to create or open the client profile. Once you have the profile open, make sure that household members are listed correctly on the right side of your screen. You will need to create a new client profile if the person or a household member is not already in Clarity. Please refer to the HMIS walkthrough portion of this training for more information on how to create clients and manage households. Step 3 is the CES enrollment. The CES enrollment collects prior living situation information. The prior living situation is where the household slept last night. This verbiage can be kind of confusing, but current living situation is where the household will sleep tonight, and prior living situation is where the household slept last night.
We will go to Programs at the top of the screen. We see that there is no active homeless CES enrollment, so we will click on this drop down here. This is where we can toggle on the household members to include them in the enrollment and click Enroll. So for prior living situation, we'll enter where they slept last night and whatever is true for that person. And it'll ask if they have a disabling condition, if they have health insurance, and who the provider is if so, if they are a veteran, and if they are a veteran, they should be given this number to be referred to a VA staff member. And if they are a survivor of domestic violence, which if they are, more questions will populate. So you'll fill out everything with whatever's true for that person, and you'll do that for each of the household members. The prior living situation and disabling condition information entered in this enrollment is used to determine chronicity as it shows on the CES list.
Step 4 is the current living situation assessment, where you can add any relevant details of location unless the household is fleeing. And this is done whenever a project starts, whenever a coordinated entry assessment or event is recorded, if the living situation changes, and if the participant has gone 90 or more days with no contact. To add the current living situation, you will click Start. Here you can toggle on if there are multiple family members to add for each of them, and you will enter what is true for that person and any location details. Step 5 is the referral to the Housing Needs Assessment, which is completed at the time of enrollment into Homeless CES. The CES event can be found under Events, and it is the referral to scheduled coordinated entry housing needs assessment, and you do not need to fill anything out here and just click Submit. Step 6 is the CES Homeless Assessment. For the CES homeless assessment, you add a separate interaction when you go in to do that. In order to get back to the assessment, you will go into Programs, make sure you're going into the current active homeless CES enrollment, going to Assessments, and then this is where you can do the CES assessment.
Before beginning the assessment, you will let them know that participation is voluntary. Services can still be accessed if they refuse, but this helps us to determine how to best support them with available resources, that there are no right or wrong answers, just what's true for them, that we ask everyone the same questions to ensure fairness, that some of the questions are really vulnerable and that they can skip any questions that they're uncomfortable answering, and This general script can also be found on the paper copy of the CES assessment available on the CES page of the KSHC website.
If the person is not willing to complete the CES assessment, they don't want to schedule to do it later, they don't want to do it at all, they can still be added to the community queue with the prefer not to complete assessment option. This allows them to still be added to the list. It is the assessment in itself. It gives them a score of 0, but still gives them an opportunity to be served through coordinated entry. So here is where you would do the prefer not to complete. Let's say that Amelia is willing to do the assessment. So you will read the script at the beginning of the paper assessment, explaining the purpose of the assessment. I find it helpful to state up front that some of the questions are really vulnerable and emphasizing that they are not required to answer any of them, making sure we're putting the individual's autonomy and choice first and foremost. So you will go through the assessment with them, filling all of this out, and then click Save. Step 7 is adding the person to the community queue. Following the assessment, you come to a screen where you can add the person to the community queue where they are wanting to be housed. If they are wanting to be housed in a region that they are not currently in, it can be helpful to gather information about if they have transportation or resources in that area to be included in the notes on the following screen. So this is where you can add relevant and non-sensitive information. We don't want to put personal health information such as specific diagnosis names, specific mental health concerns, or facility names in here. You can also add if you do not believe the assessment does not accurately reflect the person's vulnerability and why, and if they're currently working with providers. And then you send the referral. If you do miss that step and the person does not get added to the community queue, you can add them back by going into the assessment and then clicking eligibility, making sure we're using the most recent assessment, which brings you to the screen where you can add more community queues or refer them to the queue. Step 8 is check-ins and updating the CQ notes. These are ongoing responsibilities. In order to check someone in or update notes, you will view details under their unique ID, which shows you the check-in button here, and you can add new notes here. The last step is the CES enrollment exit. If the person is no longer seeking services, if they've either found permanent housing, they've moved away, if they're no longer seeking services through CES, then they can be exited by doing the same thing we did before, going into the enrollment and clicking on exit and choosing their exit destination, whatever that may be. And it will automatically remove them from the community queue when they are exited. Thank you for watching, and you can contact the CES team if you have any questions through our email or through a Fresh Desk ticket.